Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Should we touch a little bit on Jay-Z situation?
What now?
Nothing. So it's this lawyer that, he talked for 3 minutes about how Jay-Z, because Tony Busby, this attorney, is someone not to be played with, that Jay-Z should take this person seriously and he may be in hot water. I was going to play that video and have you...
Let me hear it. I'll endure it.
Yeah, I don't know what Sean Carter's doing here. It makes no sense to me. Sean Carter, i.e. Jay-Z, gets named now as the main defendant in a rape case out of New York by trial attorney Tony Busby. We're seeing Sean Carter come out now and defend himself online, putting out statements. The thing that pops up is not immediately innocence and guilt. It's how did it get this far? Carter starts attacking Tony Busby, saying, hey, he sent me a demand letter and he's trying to extort me. Well, newsflash, and Jay-Z's people know this, that every lawsuit starts with a demand letter. Everybody gets put on notice that they have a claim and gives them an opportunity to resolve. Now, if you believe in your innocence, that's fine. But here, what does innocence have to do with this? He has too much exposure going forward. These are heinous allegations. He even says it himself. Now you're getting tied to Sean Combs, who's, indicted and standing trial for racketeering and extortion cases, just horrific stuff, RICO violations. And now Carter's brand is being brought into this, is being alleged that he raped a 13-year-old. I hear you. I understand the defenses. If you're Sean Carter, hey, 24 years ago, you have an anonymous source, an anonymous victim. It looks like it's just a shakedown by an ambulance attorney. Well, look at it on the other side. Do you really think Tony Busby, who's a powerhouse trial attorney out of Houston, Texas, who's taken down monster verdicts and literally just got appointed by the attorney general to take on investment firms on behalf of Texas, moves forward on a lawsuit if it's a bluff? It just doesn't make sense to me. You got to believe that Busby would say, hey, look, I'm not going to allow this case to come down to a he said, she said. Busby knows that the anonymous victim is going to have to be disclosed. They know this anonymous victim is going to have to take depositions. So there has to be more evidence. A bluff would be, hey, I sent you a demand letter saying that we believe you caused these injuries to my client. We're asking for this much money. You say no, and nothing happens. Busby didn't do that. He called his bluff and he took it public. And in fact, he went as far as to say, you know what, we're amending the complaint where we had you as celebrity A that was watching the rape, but now we have enough evidence to believe you were the one who actually committed the rape. Now, John Carter's team will attack that and they're going to say, you didn't even know what you were doing. But my point is, this can't be a bluff. And my point is, I don't understand what Jay-Z is doing coming out in the public. He's putting out these statements that Busby's going to use against him. Literally, Carter is saying he represents the heinous nature. He understands it, and that it rises to the level that it's so bad because it's rape that it should be a criminal prosecution. I could think of nothing better as a trial attorney to use those words against the defendant in a deposition. Remember, you're in the civil context. Busby's going to be able to depose everybody. He's going to be able to get to Combs. He's going to be able to get to Carter. He's going to be able to get to witnesses. They're talking about limousine drivers. Now, yes, there may be a victim issue, but at the end of the day, everybody says, hey, this was 24 years ago. Yeah, let me know how that turned out for a Bill Cosby. At the end of the day, I don't understand why Carter's people are letting him get out there and plead this innocence. I get it from a position that you want to get out in front of the jury. You want to claim your innocence. I just think that they're messing with the wrong tactic by trying to attack the trial lawyer, because this is not a shakedown of Vontae's situation. This is a real heavyweight lawyer that knows what he's doing. And Sean Carter better be real careful.
My reaction, there are a whole lot of heavyweight lawyers, and you and I have discussed one or two of them that aren't really heavyweights. They just are good at extorting folk into settlements. And I know some lawyers that do this deliberately. Best way to handle them is smack them right across the face and say, go for it. We've got a big problem here that needs to be corrected. The statute of limitations to bring an action for a homicide, a wrongful death, ranges from 1 year to about 3 years in most of the 50 states, 1 to 3 years. So you've got a booty pinch that's got a statute of limitations for 30 years now. I don't get it. That's not proportionate. I don't care what your political objectives are. The victim, according to the pleadings, is now 37 years old. So you wait almost a quarter of a century to say something. Next point is, okay, it is at least statutory rape, depending upon the state, because the child can't consent, but it's okay for the 13-year-old child to cut her tits off or his dick off because they want to make that permanent alteration now. So what is it? Either they have the authority and the wisdom and the discernment to make these decisions at 13 years old in one instance. Don't turn around and say they are children in another. I think that maintain the childlike status. But the point is what happens with the mother, the father? Where was your daughter all night long when she was 13 years old somewhere in New York, staying out all night? What the hell were you up to? And meanwhile, you're going to let this fester through 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You're 37 years old now. Well, it's no way to maintain the situation with the embarrassment. Next thing is this person did not read the Cosby thing. What did I say about the Cosby situation? That prosecution was dead because it's part of that whole mess of abusive process. It was going nowhere because of the Fifth Amendment. And Cosby did not cop out to it. He stood his ground. And the bottom line is the state Supreme Court said the conviction was inappropriate and unconstitutional. Now, that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to make a stand. There's no easy way around it because they're counting on it being something that is easy, so you'll settle. Look what happened to Mr. Donald Trump when he was getting blackmailed by Stormy Daniels, and he wound up settling it, and then they prosecute him for settling it.
Right.
Instead of prosecuting the person that committed the felony, which is extortion / blackmail, allegedly.
And that's the same thing with Diddy when he wrote that $30 million check to Cassie last year, and then turn around this year, they raided his home and charged him all types of Mann Act federal charges.
Let me tell you what I saw one time. I was on an airplane and I was sitting next to a celebrity. I hadn't started what I had done for but a couple of years, so I wasn't big time, right? Mm-hmm. So there was some clown on the airplane that was drunk. And he kept staggering back and forth to the men's room or the restroom to take a piss, I guess. And he tripped and fell onto this guy that's sitting next to me, was sitting on the aisle. So this clown that I saw trip, fall, and hurt himself filed a law action when he got one of these big-time lawyers claiming that the guy sitting next to me deliberately tripped him to cause him injury. So the idea is to claim just enough that it would be slightly less expensive to settle than it would to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the kind of crap that goes on in life. And also, one particular woman got a little drunk at an Emmy party one time when it was admitting to me, bragging to me about how she was good at extorting people and being able to pick that fine line between it would be more feasible for them to settle irrespective of the merit of the case rather than go to trial and suffer the embarrassment. And we know somebody else that settles all these civil rights cases and never goes to trial.
Right. And the guy, Tony Busby, he's not a threat in the courtroom because he's good for selling cases, not
Trying cases.
not trying cases. Those are two different types of lawyers.
Johnny Cochran versus somebody that's a technical person.
Right. And so Jay-Z, that's why he said in a letter, I'm not giving you 1 red cent. And matter of fact, we're going to ask the judge to demand her identity. But and then he also said, because with these type of charges, foul criminal charges. Now, right, statutory, you can't. But he said, no, I'm not paying you. And he should not. But people are saying that Jay-Z should never have written that letter in response. And I think he did the right thing by letting people know, I didn't do it. And, don't play with my character or my legacy like that. You remember when Shirley Ralph, she didn't say you, but the media and the public thought it
said me. I don't even know that woman. I never met her. And the person that did that wrong to her was, it looks like, former New York Mayor Koch, who got caught in a gay affair with his sissy boyfriend. And he was trying to show that he was still a tough guy with the women. And I actually wound up talking to somebody that had interviewed him who said he admitted that. So you see, people are talking about, what about your sex fit? Hell, I don't do that kind of thing. If I ain't going to get it handed to me, I don't want it.
Right. But what did you do? You took the axe and you released a statement saying it wasn't me. So you have to defend yourself. You don't just, especially in an accusation, something such as that, what they're accusing Jay-Z of. So he did the right thing. And he has a heavy hitter lawyer, Alex Spiro. So, which is more of a heavy hitter than Tony Busby. So yeah, it's a shakedown, and it's extortion. It's shakedown.
Somebody that is supposed to be this notorious civil rights lawyer, I've had more than one conversation with, and I can assure you he was ignorant of large swaths of the law. I won't mention the person's name, but this person doesn't try cases. He does what we would call in the trade ambulance chasing, and he doesn't even get high settlements. Reason being, if you can't try a case, why the hell should somebody settle for big money?
It says Jay-Z, former close friend, former NFL running back Larry Johnson, appears on Fearless with Jason Whitlock and talks of Beyonce having inappropriate conversation with underage children at Jay-Z Rockaware photo shoot. So you have all these celebrities now coming out saying, well, I was, it was a party and it was these kids there with their parents, but she sat next to a girl and she was asking somebody something inappropriate. It's like he say, she say.
Mm-hmm. That's why there's the fine art of cross-examination. That's why, by the way, I wrote the Tennessee charge that was in effect for about 25 years on credibility of witnesses and assessing their credibility, how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Eyewitness identification, these whole things, they're not foolproof, but, cell phones with people walking around ubiquitously trying to tape something going on around them, that's only 20 years worth of time. What did you do between 20 years ago and the last few thousand years when it came to establishing law and order?
Well, right.